Hey guys, so it's Jonah from the future here. Before you watch this video, there's two things I wanted to share with you just very quickly. The first one is this is part 3 of the CloseBot series, but is a continuation of part 2. So if you're watching this and you have not watched part 2 yet, I would recommend that you watch that first. And I'll put a link on the screen for you to click. I'll put the link in the description as well for you to click and go and watch part 2 first before watching part 3. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is I wasn't expecting this episode to go the way that it did. I was expecting to start this episode by sharing with Bryce the stuff that I'd learned and implemented from part 2, and for us to then move on with implementing some of the more complex job flow nodes inside of CloseBot. But as it happens, we didn't end up doing that. Instead, I was sharing with Bryce the different things that I was expecting to need to do next inside of CloseBot, and he said, oh no, actually we don't need to do those things at all. We can do everything that you're trying to do, all of these more complex use cases and this slightly more advanced functionality, we can still do inside of the same agent node that we started setting up and we spoke about in the last session. We can still do all of this stuff just inside of the agent node. So whilst I was expecting this episode to start utilizing more of the other stuff that CloseBot can do to account for some of the more advanced functionality that I had in mind, what actually ended up happening is we continued just diving even deeper into what the agent node can do, which I was really surprised by, and actually pleasantly so. I was actually quite pleased that we don't need to use more of the advanced stuff. I like to keep things simple. And so in this episode, you'll see that conversation that we had as a continuation of the last episode being episode 2, and you'll see us diving even deeper into what the agent node is really capable of. So another fantastic episode. Thank you again, Bryce, for spending the time with me, and I hope that you find episode 3 just as useful as episodes 1 and 2. And of course, we've got episodes 4, 5, and 6 coming very soon as well. So stay tuned, enjoy this video, and subscribe if you have not done so already. Okay, welcome back to episode 3 now of this ongoing CloseBot series with Bryce, back again for more. Thank you, Bryce. In this one, we're going to be building on what we covered last time, which is agent node was episode 2. And we covered what agent node is and how it works and all the things that you can do with it. And I actually went away from that recording last week, and I've spent some time building things out myself, which is what we're effectively going to be starting this session with. I'm going to show Bryce what I've built and what I've understood from everything he taught last week. And then he's going to probably roast me and critique me and pull it all apart. And we will see if there's anything that we can change and improve and so on. But then we're actually going to build further on top of what I've got currently as well. And we're going to start exploring some of the other stuff that CloseBot can do in addition to just agent node. And I say that knowing that agent node, even just on its own, is extremely powerful, but there will be instances in which you are wanting to make use of some of the other nodes as well. So we're going to start touching on some of that in this session, as well as everything else. Does that sound cool, Bryce? Is that good?
Perfect. I'm excited to roast you.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and I will just walk you through what I've got, why I've built it the way I have, my thought process, and I'll let you know kind of where I'm going with it, and it'll be at that point that we can perhaps start looking at what are some of the other bits that we might want to bring into the picture.
So I'll let you kind of go through all of it first then, and I might take some notes here on my fancy little whiteboard, and then
Nice.
we can go over after you do the
Cool.
review.
Sounds fantastic to me. Okay, let me get my screen sharing. This is CloseBot. So we've got the one that we're going to be working in, the one that I've been working in is Jonah AI. I probably won't leave it named like that, but that's what it is called at the moment. And as we know, the first, or like one of the foundational pieces before we even get into a job flow is the persona, or like the other side of the coin. Before, aside from job flows, is personas. So I actually spent some time working on a persona as well. Now, this is obviously something you can probably play around with until the end of time to tweak, how it talks and stuff like that. What I did here for me is the minute I do kind of quite like the idea of it sounding pretty close to how I might normally talk. That might be completely unnecessary and most people probably don't care. But in my mind, I just thought, it'd be quite cool if it kind of talks like me, because I know what that would feel like, I guess, or I know how I would at least like that to come across, at least when I'm talking to people manually. So what I did here is I got a bunch of Zoom transcripts and I took a bunch of screenshots of actual conversations and DMs and stuff, like text-based conversations I've had with people. And I uploaded all of that to Claude and I said, hey, I'm trying to make a AI persona of myself that I want to sound like me. Here is how I talk from these transcripts and these screenshots. Please create basically a prompt that I can give to CloseBot to explain, like, how do I talk? And this is what it came up with. So I don't think we necessarily need to kind of I'm not planning to read this out loud for everyone to hear, but that's basically what I did to produce the persona. And so far in testing it, it seems to be doing a pretty good job, I would say.
Scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little more. Oh, up a little. A little more. I would get rid of the M dash. Filler words.
Just
Even just a normal dash is fine.
That's in there because it was produced by Claude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, elsewhere it's even using a colon, isn't it? So
yeah, and there was an area further down too. Yeah, there. Getting philosophical for 60 seconds. AI is a next best word predictor. There's more on top of it now. But not only is it listening to what you say, but how you say it impacts the next words it's going to guess in that order. So if you're using more M dashes, it's going to be more likely to predict you want more M dashes in its response. Even if you were to say never use an M dash, but you used M dashes, it's going to use a lot of M dashes.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense. Nice. So I've just removed M dashes from the rest of it as well. Yeah, so again, at the moment, I'm quite happy with how it's performing. I'm obviously open to tweaks and changes and stuff. Does it kind of make sense what I did to...
And then these are great tone things. Some people put excited and happy down there, but AI is already so excited and happy naturally that putting those things in the tone can make it over the top. Things like casual, down to earth, warm, let's tone it down a little bit. So this is perfect.
Nice. Okay, cool. I didn't add in a response delay. I guess I probably would do though.
Is it texting?
Yeah, it would be texting.
I don't think you need to. Are you really, and it's fine if you are you trying to play this off as a human?
I don't think so. No, I know that I'm trying to make
they
it.
want a response as soon as possible. So
Yeah, I think I know I am trying to make this sound like me, but I don't. I'm not trying to make people think that it actually really is me or even a real person. I would be very happy for the first message even to say, hey, this is Jonah's AI, or this is such and such AI. How can I help? or
Yeah.
or introduce itself and be explicit that it's AI from the outset.
I
I'd be
think
happy
having
with
it
this.
as fast as possible is good then.
Cool. Okay. Then I did change the frequency typos to 0 and then breaking up large messages to 60%. I think it was naturally set to 50 or 60 anyway. But when I uploaded screenshots of myself actually texting people, it figured that that's pretty much the percentage that's how I break up large messages anyway, is pretty much is this. So I set it as such. In terms of providers, I just did this. I don't really have any strong opinions. I use Claude the most, so I ranked that at the top. And then the others are just
This
kind
is
of
perfect.
random order. And then job flows. It's not currently attached to a job flow. I did think it was,
That
but
might just be a UI thing. We can double check.
okay, sure, fine. It might also be that the job flow's not actually been published or anything like that. So
Yeah, it might be.
anyway, so that's the persona. That's how I've gone about creating the persona for myself, at least. Then this is my job flow with a agent node, and you'll also see I've got like a separate branch in there. This at the moment is just disconnected because I was thinking like this is me trying to play around a little bit more with some of the stuff that I'd like to get into in today's session, but I didn't feel as if I had enough clarity to really go all the way down that rabbit hole. So I kind of just left this here for the time being.
Good.
But yeah. Anyway, but this is the actual main agent node that I have spent time on. Before we get into that, though, job information was the thing that I've spent probably the most time on. Now, in full transparency, what I've done here, because the job information, as I understood from previous sessions, is like the overarching, what's the best word? Like, what's the best word to use? Not user manual. It's just like the master prompt, I guess, or is the information that it's going to need for everything, regardless of what else is happening in the rest of the job flow. So this here, I've taken the time to upload a whole ton of information into Claude, and I explained this is what I need, this is what I'm doing. I'm using CloseBot to do X, Y, and Z, and I took the time to basically have Claude help me create this. So this is including who you are, as in who the agent is, basically. About the business, which is kind of about me / the business as a whole. Mm-hmm. Who we serve, so what kind of people are we likely to be talking to. I've got the offer stack in here at the moment as well. I'm not sure if that's really needed, to be honest. It's got like pricing and everything in here, which is almost certainly not really necessary. But I did upload all of that, so that is included right now. And then it's basically talking about the different routes that people can go based on what, kind of where they are in the customer journey right now. So if it's someone that is looking for full done for you implementation services, which is something that we offer, then it explains the sort of path that they go down in that instance, which would be a mix of a paid audit or a mapping session, depending on what they currently have going on. Again, it's talking about tone and style, boundaries, escalation, North Star metric. So this is actually, I thought, quite a good point from Claude was you want to make it very clear what the actual main objective is, which in this case would be booking calls with qualified leads. And then sub-agents, I hadn't fully scoped out what all the different other agents would be, but that does segue us quite nicely into what I have actually started building, which in my case is a community welcome agent. So Before I get into that and what the rest of my thought process is for potential other agents, does that make sense up to that point, Bryce? Or did you have anything that you wanted to roast right out the
Yeah,
gate?
I think you did a great job. I think for anyone watching, go back into the job information. Let's recall that this is the flashcard for your assistant to be able to know enough about the business, where this lead is coming from, so it can do its specific job, which is supposed to be in the agent node. There are some things, mainly toward the bottom, that I could argue might be better off in the job itself, but
Okay.
I think it's a gray area, and I think this does just well enough. This is the overarching thing, and sometimes you'll have things that could go in either area. I think you did a really good job here.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you have uploads as well. Can we go?
Oh,
You mentioned those, right? Can we go
yes.
in there and look?
Sorry, I'm not sure if I did mention uploads, but I do have uploads in here. Look, so here I've got a couple different Google Docs, so I forget which one's which, but one of these is my Succeed with High Level checklist, which is my primary lead magnet, which it also serves as the foundation of the majority of all of the coaching and consulting that I do as well. So that's a great, I figured that would probably be a great resource for this to have access to. So that is this one. The affiliate support form probably doesn't really need to be an upload, but that is something that I do find myself handing out to people fairly often. Being a part of HighLevel's affiliate program is a big part of my business as a whole. So if anyone ever has any issues with like tracking or attribution, or they haven't, been given access to my affiliate bonuses, then I ask them to fill out this form. So I figured that's something that this agent might be giving people potentially. It's not really part of the community welcome flow necessarily, but if this becomes more of an all-encompassing agent that can handle a lot of stuff, then that would be helpful for it to have. This one here is my entire product suite. So one of the things that I have built out for myself is it's just a Google spreadsheet, to be honest. But on that Google spreadsheet, it has all the different columns. Each column is each product or service we offer. And that includes the pricing, who it's for, what it includes, how it works, etc., etc. So we've got that detailed product suite, which is that one. This here is my listing on HighLevel's directory, which again has a bunch of information about who I am, the services I provide, etc. And then this here is both of my websites. So this is the website for the free community. This is the website for the rest of my everything else.
Awesome. It looks like two things. Those Google Drive ones might have some issues. We have our specific Google Drive integration coming whenever Google accepts our application, and that'll live update. This one, if it's a public link, should work.
It is public links. They are both public.
Okay. It should work, and it'll refresh on a daily basis, but it won't be live information.
Sure. That's fine. I mean, both these documents don't change anyway, so they are public. It has scanned them, and I'm assuming that that's fine. It sounds like it would probably be fine.
And then the bottom one, the succeedwithhighlevel.com, that looks like it's in a pending status.
Yeah.
Was that live?
Is the page itself live?
Well, did it show file status live at some point?
No, I actually don't think it did. And I think I had uploaded it and I had left. I was kind of rushing around a little bit, so it might have been.
There might be something with that. You might want to just try to rescrape that one.
Okay.
And for anyone watching, some things that
There you go.
Yeah, maybe that'll push it through.
Yeah.
For anyone watching, some sites just aren't allowed to be scraped. So if it's not a website you own, there are some scrape blockers in place from some external sites. If it is your site and you own it and it's not scraping it, like if it's a WordPress site, you may have a plugin enabled that's disabling scraping.
Sure.
Check that stuff. Or a fallback is always just to come in, delete it, and try again if something gets stuck.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm not super worried about this one because this page literally has got almost no information on it anyway. It's literally just this. So it says what time is the next call, time and date of the next session, what we talk about, frequently asked questions. So it's got some information on here, but you know, it's not. This is literally it. So I'm not too worried about that. This is stuff I could very easily just put in the job information thing instead if I wanted to.
Cool. Good.
Yeah.
So I love job information, looks great. This looks great. You had two versions of where you were headed, one with the single agent node, the other with a little bit of branching stuff.
Yeah. So to elaborate a little bit on where I'm planning on going, for my business personally, and I don't want to talk about my business as if that's the only thing that's important. I want to use my business as an example, knowing that a lot of people watching this will perhaps also have their own communities and they think, oh, okay, cool. You know, Jonah's talking about his community, but I can see how that might map to something that I'm doing. Then I've got the agency services side of things, which I want to talk about, and that will hopefully apply. You'll be able to map that somehow into what you're doing as well. So I'm using my business here as an example, and I'd love for everyone watching this to be able to just think about how could this map into my business, even if it's not in the exact same way. I'd like to think that there'll be bits that you can take from everything that we're about to cover. So my thought process is this. My business has got a couple of different buckets, if you like, that people fall into. First of all, we've got the community. The community has a free version and a paid version. So there's slight differences in what is actually included. We obviously want people to upgrade to the paid version. There's a couple of ways you could get access to the paid version. None of that's super complicated. You can basically get access to the paid version for free if you use our affiliate links, or you can just pay for it. That unlocks extra daily calls and daily coaching calls and so on, and some extra courses. So there's a slight variation there between free and paid. Then we have coaching and consulting services, which I honestly don't push that much, but we do have that in the middle for people that want a little bit more than what's in the community, but they don't want that, or they don't even need like full implementation services. And then the other thing would be the full implementation services. So for agencies that want to outsource and to hire in like expert help for building their snapshots and fixing their workflows, and they want full done for you implementation, then that's like our flagship thing that we sell. So what I would love for this job flow to do is to be able to have leads come in from each of those different directions, to be able to triage leads, triage, and route people in the correct, like signpost people correctly. Say, okay, cool, you came in from here, or you came in and you're interested in this, then this is where you need to go. And from there, we've obviously got a series of different links that people would need to click on, forms or calls that they would book, etc. So if they're interested in a custom build project, they would book this kind of call. If they're interested just in joining the daily calls, then they would go to the VIP sign up page, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this agent node that I've got here is very simply engaging with new members when they join the free community. And that free community is one of our main lead magnets. In addition to the checklist, when someone gets the checklist, they get added to the community by default. And if they just join the community directly, then they get the checklist still. So what I've got in here is very simply saying, welcome new people into the group, make sure they've logged in successfully, make sure that they've registered for the free Friday call, which we do every single week, make sure they have been able to navigate into the course area, and prompt them or invite them to introduce themselves in the introductions channel. This is basically saying that we don't want to push them too hard into introducing themselves. A lot of people don't really want to, and that's okay. But we do want to make sure that they have been able to register for the call. They know where to find the courses. We've got a couple of courses that we particularly recommend for most people. And that's really it at the moment. I have found that this, even just this being as simple as it is, in testing it, it has been working quite well. And I've been quite happy with it, to be honest. But I guess where I've gotten to is how, like, some of the best ways I would go about building out the rest of everything else that I mentioned as well.
Well,
If that makes
when you're
sense.
thinking about how you want to build things,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like there's a possibility of people jumping around between these things. Maybe
Yeah.
they've done your flagship product, and then maybe later they come back and they really just want the community aspect. There's not a hard linear flow
No,
through here, always ending at flagship.
no.
So in that case, there are two different ways you could do it. Have everything in one agent node,
Mm-hmm.
or, and that's what I would probably try to do, or you could use what we call custom scenarios, which are like listeners for something happening to jump into different agent nodes depending on what it's detecting.
Okay.
So an example might be maybe you have flagship where this person wants done for you services going to an agent node. And you have your normal start, which is the most common case. It's just the registration, the welcome.
Yeah.
If you had that, it would throw them into the registration and welcome. But if it ever detected that they wanted done for you services, it's going to jump down into a different agent node that maybe has different tools available, some different instruction in that job. But keep in mind, once it's in one agent, it can jump back and forth, but there's always a risk of it being in an agent node without information about another thing that it needs. So maybe they
Sure.
want the flagship services, but they also don't know how to join your Friday calls.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
where it becomes hard, and why it's probably better to have everything in one agent node if possible.
Sure. That makes sense. That makes sense. So, yeah. I mean, if I can have everything in one agent node, I'm very happy to. I guess some of my thought process around why I might not end up with one agent node really was, if I open up some of the other tools here, some of the other nodes. I guess I was really thinking more about the scenarios, to be honest. Like, I guess I was thinking more about having those different scenarios clearly stated and explained, and says, like, right, if someone is interested in this, then you need to go and have this conversation with this agent that has got all this information. But I can see what you're saying there, where someone might be then in that agent node, the agent does not have all the information about everything else and doesn't know. But then would that not be the job of other custom scenarios to recognize if someone ends up in that position?
Well, what if it's a gray area? What if they do want done for you services, but while they're there, they're asking about your Friday call? and you forget to put information about the Friday call in the one that's specifically supposed to handle how to access the Friday call.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then
I would always start as simple as possible, too.
that's what I recommend to everyone. I've got a motto that is launch something simple sooner, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm definitely an advocate of that.
And then if you're finding there's an issue or a holdup, that's where you can break into more complexity,
Sure.
which might happen or might not.
Yeah, yeah. I think to give you another couple of examples, I guess as well, is as I mentioned, just going back to the very beginning of our customer journey, where someone joins the community or they get the checklist. As I mentioned a moment ago, if someone joins the community, the checklist is in there freely available anyway, but that person might not actually know about the checklist. Like it's in there, but if they've come through the entry point of the community, then as far as they're concerned, they're just joining a free group. They won't necessarily know the checklist even exists. Whereas if they opt in to get the checklist as the entry point, then they're going to be added into the community as well, but they won't necessarily have any idea of the free coaching calls on Fridays, or even that we do daily coaching calls for the VIP group. So I guess that leads into an example of where I was thinking, that does it make sense to have some sort of like true false branches where we check, okay, do they have the checklist tag? And then if they do, then we want to talk to them about the checklist primarily to make sure they're able to get the most out of that, and then follow that up with, oh, and by the way, we've got the community, the free calls, and make sure, that stuff.
I
Where
don't think so,
no,
because anytime you're branching and going someplace, it locks you in this linear flow
yeah,
where they could get stuck there and not make
sure,
it to your agent node. And
yeah,
then the rest of the jobs are not being handled. I think a good way to handle that would be go into your agent node. And then let's add a section. And let's call it, here's where we're going to look at tags. And let's do extra info based on tags. And then in the description for this, type out, here are all of the existing, and then maybe in parentheses or in quotes, tags that we've attributed to this contact, colon space, and then at contact.tags.
I think tags is there. There we go.
And
Okay.
then enter. And then you could start to identify some of your tags and what they mean. Like, what's one of the tags that would note something?
If they opted into the checklist, they would get a checklist tag.
Okay, so let's put checklist.
And by the way, just in full transparency, I don't actually have all of these tags in place at the moment, like actually in the CRM, because up until now I've not found that I've really needed them. But building this out would be a great example of why we might want to have all the tags to represent each of these things that we're accounting for in CloseBot. So
then you can tell it a little bit about each tag title and what that means they've had and what that means we're trying to get them to do and what they might need at that point.
yeah, so this here would basically just list all of the tags that that person has at that moment in time.
Right.
Does that update if during this conversation, say they're having this conversation over the course of like multiple days or weeks or something, does that update itself if they get another tag in that time?
Anytime a message comes in, we'll check to see the tags that exist on the contact before a message is sent.
Okay, right. So yes, then it would
Yeah.
update itself if they have new tags. Okay, nice. Right. So I can see where you're going with this, and this makes sense. So basically we're saying, right, here's all of the tags that this person has, and then the logic would be, you know, if they have X tag, whatever the name is, you would want to include like the actual name of the tag. Then you would say, yeah, if they have then you should ask them questions to determine which step of the checklist they're on.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And then you'd basically repeat that for each of the different tags that you're trying to account for that would represent different situations or different places in the customer journey, etc.
And I would probably, if it's as simple as one tag, one thing you want to say, I would start with the tag name and then like a dash and then what you want it to do. That way, you can always think of yourself as an assistant. That way it's easy as your assistant scanning this thing. Oh, here's the extra tag information. Okay, tag name, tag name, tag name. Here's the one they have. Okay.
Okay, sure.
It's easier for it to find.
Nice. Okay. Okay, I like that. I guess you could do a similar thing with custom fields as well.
You could. These variables have two different functions. Easiest one to wrap your head around is injecting them like this. You're used to that because of HighLevel. You can inject that field and the text gets inserted into there.
Mm-hmm.
The second way is to call attention to a field in general. For example, you might have a field for their level of experience, and it's a multiple choice with low, medium, high experience, and you want the bot to update that field based on what it presumes their experience to be. Instead of typing out update the contact dot experience underscore level field, you can mention it too. And
Sure.
it's smart enough to know, hey, we're not injecting text. He's called out, this is the field we're supposed to update. So you can either call
Sure.
attention to fields in general or inject text, and the AI is smart enough to figure it out.
Nice. Okay, fantastic. So I think that's good to know. I think for me, what I'm trying to achieve, I would most likely be able to do with just tags. I'd be able to say, hey, if they have this tag, then do this. If they have this tag, then do that. I guess a question that comes to mind though, based on that, is someone may have the checklist tag already, right? So they may have opted into the checklist some time ago, and then, but now they're coming back. Say we fast forward 3 months, and they're now coming back and engaging with us in some different way. Maybe they're interested in, or they've inquired about our implementation services. So at that point, presumably that would trigger like a new conversation or a continuation of some previous conversation they might have had with us or with CloseBot.
Continue.
And it would just continue. Like, how would we make CloseBot know what the most recent thing is that's happened? So that it doesn't just come in here and go, oh, they have the checklist tag. Let me talk to them about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So in that case where you had a conversation far back, they have the checklist tag, and then they come in. What's an example of something they would come in and say? Just so I can wrap my head around this scenario.
They would come in and say, hey, I want your help to build a snapshot for me. I'm interested in your implementation snapshot building services. In which case we would book a mapping session with them and proposal, and that would be the path forward from that point.
And they have the checklist tag.
And they have, so they may have opted into the checklist 3 months ago. They've been consuming the content. They've been on some of the calls. Now they're reaching out and say, hey, Jonah, I love you so much. You're the best person I've ever spoken to in the HighLevel world. I would love your help to please build out a snapshot for me.
And we don't have any information in here right now. We have, you did mention 3 types of leads though. The people free. And we kind of cover that in that overview.
Yes. So that's covered more so in the job information. Yeah. So just to summarize our particular setup, and again, I'm hoping people can take this and kind of see ways in which it maps into their businesses as well, perhaps. But we've got free community that anyone can join. That gives you access to the free Friday calls, some free courses, etc. The VIP tier, so paid or people that have used affiliate links. So that's kind of both 2 different halves of the same bucket. It's just like the community, I guess. Then we've got coaching and consulting. Then we've got implementation services.
So I think it makes most sense for you to have probably a small section for each of those, how you want it to handle each of those if they come up in conversation, and then the extra information based on tags, that's there if it needs it, but the main driver should be where the conversation is going, so that if they're talking about done for you services, it doesn't really care about what tags it's doing and checking. That's an idea for it, but it should be more concerned with that specific job of booking them in for done for you service.
Yeah. Okay.
So make that extra information based on tags less of a strong section. Here are all of the existing tags that we've got attributed to this contact. You can reference these to get ideas of what this contact might want in their journey.
Sure. Or at least like the steps they've already taken, the things they've already got.
Yeah.
Etc. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And then, so I guess this is a question I actually asked you between sessions. So that question was this start point. What actually is that starting point? Now the answer that you gave me was effectively just a new inbound message.
It's really the very first message. At that point, they're in that agent node and they stay there. Until you go on to the next agent node, but they're effectively done with the start. They're in the agent node forever.
Okay. Cool. They're never leaving. Nice. Is there some? I mean, you can stop. You can have like a stop node.
You can do an exit.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can tell the agent node to kick them out of that agent node if it detects something happening, or they notice something, or there are certain tags present on the contact, and then you can choose to have another agent node or a stop.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So in this case, I'm even thinking along the lines of having a custom field. So in my CRM, I can have a custom field that has each of those buckets, and is just a drop down, and that custom field is updated when people fill out different forms on our website. So if they fill out a form that is like an inquiry form about a custom project, then we can have a workflow in HighLevel that updates that field and that field would basically represent the thing that they are presently interested in. And then that field can be referenced in here.
Totally.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that could be a good way of saying, right, so these are all the tags that they have. This is all the stuff that they've gotten from us already, the checklist, the community, they might be a VIP member, etc. That can be known through all the tags that they've got. And then reference this field to know what is the thing that they're presently most interested in. Have they just booked a mapping session already, maybe? Have they filled out this form and they're interested in one? Etc. So there would only ever be one current value in that field at any given time.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, and you can do that for prompt injection too. That's a little bit more of a complex thing. But if you have a workflow that's based on tags, updating the text in a field with extra instruction, you could call that out in here and then variably inject different instruction into your agent node.
Okay. Cool. That sounds fun.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind it's a little harder to control because then let's say they do get that checklist tag and you forget to have a workflow that removes it and thus removes the extra instruction. It now has extra instruction to do that thing.
Yeah.
It's nicer just to make sure you have a well-drafted agent node that knows how to handle all the situations the way you want.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Nice. So I think for me then, and if it's okay, Bryce, let me just refer to some questions that I've got written down here to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Okay. I think we've covered all the questions that I had, actually. So I think for me, as much as I was thinking and expecting to probably need more fancy branches in here, the reality is I probably don't in this case.
Right.
And I could, I could use the custom scenarios, which I've actually not played around with too much, but the basic idea of these is to say, interested in a call, and you would say, you would describe what the scenario is. So someone expresses an interest in booking a call with our sales team. Cool. So while someone is in the agent node, this is going to be constantly listening. And if at any point during this conversation in the agent node, someone expresses an interest in a call, that person's going to get pulled down here and could be fed into a different agent node. That's my understanding of what this is.
And with this setup, they would be in that agent node forever and they would never jump back up to the welcome community members one. If you ever wanted them to jump back up, you would need a different custom scenario to the left of your welcome community members agent node.
I'm going to delete these things because I don't need it. Yes, you'd have another custom scenario.
And it would go up to the welcome community members one.
You would, yeah. So then you would say, right, now if this thing ever happens, then we want to take them back
on how to get XYZ from the community here.
Yeah. Okay.
That way, if they did ever jump back down and you want them to jump back up,
yeah.
So you can do that.
Cool. Okay. Nice. So I think that's my use case pretty well covered, to be honest with you. And I'm actually really quite impressed at how much just one agent node can actually cover and how far you could go with just one agent node. Now,
Just to cover for everyone real quick, go
yeah.
to the agent node and go into your tools. You have one tool enabled. So go in the agent node, and then the agent node has its own
Oh,
sidebar.
yeah, cool. Okay, yeah, I see.
So you have Smart FAQ enabled.
Yeah.
That makes it so that anytime a question's asked, it doesn't know the answer to it, logs it for you. And it looks like you're not doing conversational booking or rescheduling or having it add or remove tags or updating contact fields or any property information. So
Yeah,
that is a really good one to have enabled, though.
sure. Yeah, I hadn't gotten as far as building that out just now. And so I definitely would want to enable at least probably definitely these, I would say.
And click the top right,
Here?
all the way top right. You have a notification.
Yeah. So this
Go
was
ahead
me
and click that.
this was me testing.
Okay.
And
Good.
this is why I added the succeed with high level page to the source to the uploads.
So it's
Because
nice
it's
to
actually,
know where the gaps are, even as you're testing.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I went and added the succeed with high level page to the uploads because at the very top of the page it says exactly when the next call is. Now, at the same time I could just answer this and say every Friday at
Right.
5 p.m. London time.
The danger with this is you then have information in multiple locations. And
True.
if that does change ever and you change it to a different time, you might remember to change it on your website,
But
which
not
would
here.
update the knowledge base, and then forget it here, and then it has
Yeah.
conflicting information.
True. Yeah. So in that case, would you recommend that I actually just leave
I would
this,
just delete it.
just delete that one and say
Yeah.
not needed? Okay. Nice. Fair enough. And so I had added the uploads, the website after that question came in. That's the reason I added it. So I would like to think that would be enough to prevent that from
Yeah.
coming in here again. Nice. Fantastic. Okay. So in this particular use case, and in my mind, my use case feels like it has potential to be quite complex. There's a number of different buckets that people can fall into. There's different, I guess, like qualification criteria around each one, different bits of information we would need from each person before putting them in that bucket. But yeah, all of that can be handled inside of one agent node still, which
Still
is
can.
amazing. Now, that's really cool. Are there, Bryce, in your opinion, any other agent nodes on here that you find people tend to end up using in any particular sort of edge cases or different funky situations? Is there anything else in here that you think would be worth spending a bit more time on? Any examples that you see come up where agent node might not be able to take you all the way?
Really, agent node is the way to go. The main
Sure.
reason why we have these other nodes in here is because we went 2.5 years without agent node, and thus we have a lot of people that use and love and know and understand these nodes and prefer it because it works with the way their brain works.
Yeah.
But the highest performance thing is agent node.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Makes
Cool.
it easy.
It does. Yeah, it makes the workflow building very easy. Like as far as this is concerned, like in high level, I'm very used to having like these whole massive spider webs of workflows and having all these different steps and conditional logic and branches going in different directions and in here, I mean, like we don't even need this.
You don't.
Like this could literally be it. So really, where, at least this is how I'm interpreting it, where this looks and feels very simple, and it almost, in my mind, it almost feels like, is that it? Like that's all we need? The I guess the reality is that there is more thought that goes into not what we're seeing here, but what's actually under the hood. Like this is where the work happens. Like this is where the
Yeah.
complexity and the thought process goes.
And if you were to think about, is your agent node's purple now.
Yes.
What that means is you have turned some things on in the settings that make it so it's going to cost you more money than the fixed 1.2 cents per message.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is totally fine, and for your case, probably what you want. But some people don't want it to cost more per message until they're a qualified lead. So they might have one agent node that has those limits on, and they have it qualifying the lead, giving them information, and then once they're qualified, kicking it over to a different agent node that maybe does have more potential and is going to cost more per message. But you're okay with that because you know they're a qualified lead and not just some person wasting your time and your money.
So in that case, would that be a custom scenario?
That would be an exit. So you would use one agent node that's like the qualifier,
Yeah.
and then create an exit for qualified and exit to a different agent node with a whole different list of instructions on how to handle your qualified leads.
So where do we configure exits?
If you go to click on the agent node, and then in that sidebar on the right, you'll see one that says exits,
Oh, here. Okay, cool.
and you can identify an exit there.
Nice. Okay.
And then you just have to explain to it within the prompting how to use that exit.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. So I configure this thing in here. So let me just say, right, this is it. So if they have this tag, then that would trigger the exit.
I can't see your screen anymore.
Oh, really? When did that go away?
Just like 10 seconds ago.
Okay. Cool. So if I go in here,
Check this out. So if you leave that blank, no tag rules, you have to explain how to use it.
Okay. Right.
Okay. So you would explain it in your prompting. Hey, when the person seems really interested specifically in our offer, use the exit. And then your different agent node that handles the qualified leads. If you do put in tag rules, that means you can still explain how, but also if you add a tag, or if it doesn't include a tag, it exits automatically, even if you don't explain how to use it.
I see. Okay. Right. So in here, I would say, yeah, very simply, and this is probably too simple, but if they are qualified, really you would say, if they meet this criteria, then they are qualified, and if they are qualified, then
at,
and then I've made the qualified lead exit path.
yes.
Cool. Okay. And then how do I go about connecting that to a different agent node if that's what I wanted to do?
Yeah, just drag one up there and then you can connect it. See how you have that agent node with the line coming off the right of it now?
Oh, this one. Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that gets created when you create that exit.
Yeah, cool. Okay. I see. Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think you need that in your case,
No,
but
I don't think
that's
so.
a really good thing to understand.
Yeah, sure. I like that. Very nice. And as you say, so I would explain that. In that case, I would explain it just in the prompt, when to use this exit. But additionally, you could set up the exit and say, with no explanation at all, you can just say as soon as someone gets this tag, or as soon as they don't have this tag, then consider that to be an exit instead, with no prompting at all, and then they would get the same. They would branch off the same way here.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I'm really impressed with what you can do with just an agent node.
Yeah, it's crazy. You just have to think through your instruction thoroughly.
Yes. Yeah. But I can see how it's easier and simpler to keep everything contained in one place. As soon as you start introducing other branches and paths and different directions people can go in with exits and scenarios and so on and so forth, you quickly find yourself needing to take into account more edge cases, I guess, which would always become more complicated.
Right. And the options are there. You don't have to use them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much everything that I had on the agenda for today, to be honest with you. There are a couple of other bits that we could perhaps, well, we could cover at any point, I think, really, but we spoke about follow-ups already in either the previous session or the one before that. I think we understand what follow-ups are and how they work. I am wanting to configure the follow-ups for this agent node, which I haven't properly done yet. You can see I've started to. But then another thing that I've not touched at all is variables. Before we go, would you be willing to touch on what variables are and then decide if that's something that's worth? Is that
variables are really like it's the equivalent of custom values in HighLevel. So you could do the exact same thing, just utilizing HighLevel custom values.
Sure. Okay.
If you wanted a business owner to go in and input a list of the services they offer and then call those out in the agent node, you could do that. But we also allow these bots to be built for things like HubSpot and custom CRMs that don't have custom values. So if you're using HighLevel, you could just stick with the custom values.
Sure. So you don't need this if we're using HighLevel. Nice. Fantastic. Very cool. Thank you, Bryce. Is there anything else you feel like you would want to mention or add to anything that we've spoken about during this session?
I think you nailed it. I think getting some real world test cases in here, tweaking accordingly, and then thinking through how to adequately set up a split test.
Yeah. So for those that hadn't caught this in previous sessions, if this is the first session that you're watching of this CloseBot series, the goal here is to ultimately split test between CloseBot and HighLevel's conversation AI. So that might be where there's a tiny bit of extra complexity in what I've built. Just because we're trying to split test, I imagine we'll have some way that we filter people away from the CloseBot agent nodes because we're wanting them to actually go into the HighLevel conversation AI instead, and vice versa. So there might be a bit of filtering that we put in place just for the sake of split testing. And that might well be something that we could set up. I don't know, would that be worth setting up in a recorded session like this?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, we can do that then. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything that we've covered just now and get my agent node to a state of hopefully near completion, which is exciting. And then we can pick up from there. I'll probably also take the time to try and recreate what I've got in HighLevel as well. Is that something that you think would be worth trying to do in a recorded session like this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. And we're friends with HighLevel. HighLevel is friends with us.
Sure.
Either way, prompting knowledge is prompting knowledge. And I'd like to make sure we're set up as fairly as possible.
Nice.
So I think
Okay.
I should be there.
Okay, cool. Let's do that then. I will go away and get my CloseBot agents to a state of as near completion as possible. Internet connection just went funny.
You froze.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, Bryce, but bear with me. Are you back? Okay.
There.
My internet just went funny there. It's on me. It's reconnecting, or it has reconnected, but it just dipped. So I will get my CloseBot agent node to a state of as near completion as possible. In the next session, then perhaps we can review what I've got again. Perhaps not spend as much time on it. Hopefully, that won't be necessary. And then try and recreate that in HighLevel.
Yeah.
And I think it would actually be really good to see how much work, relatively speaking, is involved in recreating it in HighLevel. Because I actually don't really have a grasp on how much more complicated or difficult it might be to actually just build the thing in HighLevel. Like in CloseBot, it almost feels very simple with just one agent node. In HighLevel, it might be that it's a bit more complex to build something of the same quality. I'm not thinking that is the case, but it'd be interesting to see what that process looks like in HighLevel, and then what the actual quality of each of them looks like in real life.
Which is what really matters too.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
That could be the next session then.
Okay. Deal.
Thanks, Bryce.
Thank you, Jonah.
Yeah, this is cool. This is good fun. Hey, it's Jonah again here. I really hope that you enjoyed this video today about CloseBot. If you want to go ahead and actually implement what we've just covered in this video and you do not already have a CloseBot account, you will find a link to create one beneath this video. It's going to be in the description, perhaps also in the pinned comment in the comment section as well. And I'm also going to go ahead and make sure there is a QR code on the screen in case you're watching this from a larger monitor or maybe your TV and you want to be able to check it out on your phone instead. So whichever way you go, whether it's the link or the QR code, it's going to bring you through to this page. And on this page, I'm going to recommend for pretty much everyone, sign up to the free plan. This free plan is very generous because it's not just a free trial. It is just a completely free plan. You don't even need to enter in your credit card, I don't think. So this is going to be a fantastic place for the vast majority of everyone watching this video to actually get started and start playing around with CloseBot inside of their own business without having to pay for anything at all. Now, if you are an agency with sub-accounts in HighLevel that you're thinking about potentially rolling this out to, then you will then find here the agency plan as well. Now, you definitely do not need to upgrade to that right out the gate. You will have the option to upgrade, obviously, whenever you're ready. And on that note, Bryce has been very kind to provide us with a coupon code to actually give you money off your first payment of the agency plan whenever you're ready to upgrade in the future. So in the description beneath the video, you'll also find exactly what that coupon code is and how much money it gives you off your first payment. So you can keep that in your back pocket. You can make use of the free plan for now and then make use of the coupon code in the future when you're ready to actually sign up to a paid account. Now, if you're not an agency owner and you're just looking at using CloseBot only inside of your own business and not roll it out to clients as well, then you'll find here this purple button here that just says business ? You can click on that and it will take you to the pricing for you just using CloseBot inside of your own business, and that's it. So you'll see that there's a good bit cheaper, and that coupon code will apply to this as well. So hopefully this is helpful. If you do not have CloseBot already and you want to try it out, again, I recommend the free plan. If you're an agency, you can upgrade when you're ready and get money off. And if you're just running your own business, you can again also upgrade whenever you're ready and again still use that same coupon code. So thank you again. Thank you, Bryce, for recording these videos with me. I hope that they are serving everyone well, and I will chat to you guys soon.